In the dark of night, a team of divers prepares for a dangerous expedition. Their journey will take them 60 miles offshore and a half-century back in time. During World War II, a German U-boat is stalking the coastline of New Jersey, hunting for American ships. Suddenly, an explosion rocks the boat. In an instant, thousands of gallons of freezing water flood in. She sinks to the bottom, taking her crew to a watery grave. For decades, salt water eats away at the submarine until it is barely recognizable. So close to our shores, no one has any idea that this U-boat was ever here. But one day in 1991, a fisherman loses his net, snagged by something on the bottom. A group of divers goes down to see what's there.
The first thing that I saw was a hatch opening, and I looked inside. I saw what was obviously a torpedo.
We're all like geeled together.
These divers have been exploring shipwrecks off the coast for years, but they've never heard of any submarine at this location.
No, the boxes are all sealed.
Not knowing how old the wreck is or what nationality, they report it to the U.S. Navy.
And I checked some of my sources that I have here of known wrecks off the East Coast, and there was no known wreck at that exact position.
What began with a fisherman's accident now starts these divers on a journey through the dark history of World War II. When they're through, part of the record of the 20th century's worst war will stand corrected. And families around the world will finally learn the truth about their lost loved ones. Their 6-year quest to solve this mystery begins with a startling discovery.
On my second dive, I went down, penetrated inside the wreck, and I brought back 2 bowls.
And on the back of the dish, as plain as day, was the eagle and swastika with the year 1942.
That proved that the wreck was a German U-boat from World War II.
It shouldn't be there. According to the war records, there isn't supposed to be a U-boat for 100 miles in either direction. And that's when the mystery really started.
Major funding for NOVA is provided by the Park Foundation, dedicated to education and quality television.
This program is funded in part by the Northwestern Mutual Foundation. Some people already know Northwestern Mutual can help plan for your children's education. Are you there yet? Northwestern Mutual Financial Network.
And by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
In December 1941, German submarines, U-boats, depart on a secret mission. They cross the Atlantic undetected and take up positions a few miles off the East Coast. Their target is the United States.
It was quite risky because we didn't know what anti-submarine warfare had to be expected.
Horst von Schroeter is watch officer on U-123.
We closed the shore within, say, 2 or 3 nautical miles. We smelled the forest ashore, and we saw the autos, the cars running on the shoreway.
The German plan is codenamed Paukenschlag, or drumbeat. It calls for an all-out surprise attack on American merchant ships. At war for barely a month, few suspect German U-boats are lurking within sight of shore. The attack begins January 13th, 1942. After fighting the British for 2 years in the Atlantic, the Germans find America easy. Commander of U-552, Eric Topp.
Compared with the difficulties in the Atlantic War, it was a shooting of hares.
It took 1 week, as I remember, only 1 week all the time, and we sank, I think, about 10 ships.
America is completely unprepared.
And so we had a very easy game there.
January was just a slaughter.
January is just the beginning.
And this went on all the time. Bodies and wreckage and oil was constantly coming ashore down the coast as far as Florida.
We were really afraid of them. We were scared because it was an unseen weapon.
The U.S. Navy assures the public it has the U-boats under control.
Naturally, in time of war, you put your best foot forward. The Navy was saying, don't worry, we're taking care of these submarines. We're sinking them. In actuality, we hadn't sunk a single one.
In 1942, at the height of Operation Drumbeat, the German U-boat seems almost unstoppable. But was this machine as effective as it seemed? In a remarkable reversal, the hunters become the hunted. Barely 2 years after Drumbeat, the U-boats are suffering staggering losses. What then accounts for the U-boat's deadly reputation? If it truly was as lethal as its image would have us believe, how is it possible it was so decisively defeated? By the end of the war, the Allies sink 3/4 of Germany's combat U-boats. To this day, some 68 are still unaccounted for. A mere 60 miles from New Jersey, this is one of the lost U-boats. But no one knows which one.
First we went down, dropped our stage bottles. At that point, he went forward. I recovered some objects, but it's all fused together.
Looks like they're spare gauge faces. They might have something written on them, so.
For 6 years, the group of divers that discovered the wreck has been trying to learn which U-boat it is. The team leader is professional diver John Chatterton. John's partners are Richard Kohler, a businessman, and John Yerga, also a professional diver.
There you go. Oh boy, that didn't sound good. So I'm going to see if we can find something here that's got an identifying mark on it.
Even conglomerated.
A U-boat number, a hull number, something like that? Yeah.
Well, it's just like, you know what this is?
Just like these.
Yes, it's got commands. From the commander to the engineer, or from the engineer to the commander.
After an attack where they've been heavily depth charged, this would be replacement parts for that. There you go, Patrick.
Every summer, these divers come here and search for artifacts, hoping one will identify the wreck.
Base this on the U-8.
During the winters, they read and study blueprints, learning details about U-boats that will guide their diving.
That is going to be the determining factor.
They do this work not for money, but out of stubborn curiosity. After 6 years, they still have no answer.
We're not archaeologists, but you don't see archaeologists out here trying to do this work. What we're trying to do is identify the wreck. There's no treasure, there's no loot. The payment for us is solving the mystery.
We just want to positively identify this wreck. And then basically our search will be over. You agree?
The first day I dove on this wreck, I said, what is this thing doing here? How did it get here? What is it? And we're 6 years later, we're still trying to answer those questions.
The questions are simple, but finding answers means overcoming enormous obstacles. Every trip to the wreck takes 8 hours. The divers leave at midnight to arrive by dawn. They average a half a dozen trips every summer. But this far offshore, the weather is unpredictable. More than half the time, rough seas at the wreck site mean they cannot dive. Even in good weather, the diving is difficult and dangerous. The wreck is 230 feet down in cold, murky water.
The national safe diving maximum limit is supposed to be 130 feet. This is another 100 feet deeper. If anything goes wrong, you've got to fix it right then and there.
Their bodies can only tolerate 2 dives a day and no more than 30 minutes on the bottom. At this depth, any mistake can be fatal. But for these divers, the quest has become an obsession. No matter what it takes, they are determined to identify this U-boat. This wreck will not give up its secrets easily. After a half-century underwater, it now scarcely resembles a U-boat. But some of its original features, like this gun mount, can still be discerned. The port side rudder, one of 2 which steered the boat. A massive propeller, halfway buried in sand. The stove, where the lone cook prepared meals for 57 men. The officers' quarters,